Hey, what's going on, everybody? Leigh, Dickey here, and today I want to tell you guys some stories about my least favorite things when it comes to performing and entertaining. Now, as much as I love to perform and entertain, I've had days and times when I'm out in public or up on stage where you just don't have the greatest show. Sometimes you have a bad show, and in my experience, since I've been doing this since 1995, so that's 22 plus years now, you just gotta brush it off. Okay, so you have a bad show, on to the next one, right? And that's the way I do things when it comes to not only performing and entertaining, but my everyday life. I mean, you can't sweat the small stuff or else you're never gonna go anywhere. But there are certain times when I've had to perform when I've just hated it. I've just had I've had it up to here. I've had about enough of the performing thing. They're very few and far between, but they have happened and they have come into play, so to speak. And what I mean by that is, well, let's just jump right into it. Some of the times that I can recall where I've absolutely hated the fact that I entertain and perform for a living is when I'm out with some old friends. I was out with some old friends. This happened on more than one occasion where we'd go out, we'd shoot the breeze, we'd catch up and see how everybody was. But it would always, every single time, I would hear, Leigh, you gotta perform for us. Leigh, you gotta do something. You gotta, give us some bars. Like, I gotta perform a rap, or I gotta perform part of this stand-up. I gotta perform. And to be quite honest, we're in the middle of a restaurant surrounded by other people that are just trying to relax. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to relax, chill out, not do anything other than have a meal, have a drink, unwind. I want to know everything about you guys. Let's not make this about me. I don't want to perform when I'm supposedly out with friends. If I feel up to it, okay. But when we set the guidelines or the mindset of, all right, we're just going to get together, we're just going to shoot the breeze, and that's it, and we're going to catch up and have food, drinks, and all that good stuff, I'm not going in there thinking, yeah, I gotta perform tonight, or I gotta entertain somehow, because I'm at a table with, I don't know, maybe 4, 6, 8, 10 people that are like old friends, my old friends that are basically hounding me all night to, give them like an 8, 12, 16 bar verse, or give them a bit of the stand-up, or perform part of a skit that I'm working on, or anything like that. I just want to relax and have a meal and have a drink and not have to worry about being live, being on all the time. You know what I mean? So when things like that happen, I don't go out as much as I used to. You know what I mean? I don't go out with those people as much as I used to. Granted, okay, maybe that's just what they expected, but to be quite honest with you, I don't have to perform 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is not my job to entertain people that I'm at a table with, having dinner or having a meal, or just trying to catch up and shoot the breeze. That's not my job. I'm not on the clock at that point, and it sticks with me, because it's like you're poking at me to perform for you at that point, and you're making me hate the fact that I perform and entertain for a living when you expect me and basically ride me all night and force me to give you a performance. I hate that. And what this all boils down to really is that I hate being forced to do anything. I remember when I was in elementary school, this is probably, I don't know, 6th or 7th grade, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Like, I'm a better solo performer. I mean, I can work with other people, and I understand that in life you have to work as a team in certain aspects, but I am a better solo performer. One of the working in group situations, because that's just the thing, I guess it was part of the mark when you were in school, where you had to work in teams and tandem and pairs and that sort of thing. One of the things that sticks into my mind was always having to give speeches, and I do count giving speeches and lectures and standing up in front of your classmates as a performance, because it's you in front of a crowd, doesn't matter how big or how small. And one specific time I remember, it was myself and this other guy, and I think a girl that was a year older than us, because I went to an elementary school for the better part of those years, having to go through classes that had 2 grades in them, right? So it was a split class, but there were 2 grades in the class. And one specific time, like, we were in the library, I think, and it was myself, this other guy, and this older girl, just a year older than the both of us. And we had to give a speech. I don't remember the topic, but we had to basically brainstorm and give ideas on this speech. I don't remember what we came up with, but I just remember feeling super uncomfortable, because it's like they throw you in the deep end, and if you sink, you sink. If you swim, great. If you need water wings, you need to rethink everything. You know what I mean? It was something that I was super unfamiliar with at the time, because like, I barely knew the girl that was a year older, and the guy and I, like, we were friends and all, but it's not like we would go out of our way to basically help each other with assignments or anything. So giving this speech, it was basically like the 3 of us running around like chickens, but with our heads cut off. In my opinion, it sucked. You know, I mean, we were trying to brainstorm with each other, and the girl basically took over and was like, well, yeah, this, and this, we're gonna do this, and this, and the other thing. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna just talk, you guys just sit back and watch me work. And I, you know, granted, we were judged as a team, but it wasn't really, there was no team effort put forth. There was no team unity, so to speak. And that's pretty much what I mean. It was just one person taking the reins and just, here, well, let's just get through it. Because I don't really think that we wanted to work with each other anyway. We just all wanted to we all wanted to be our own separate people and do our own separate thing. But the teacher that we had at the time basically said, you're going to do this in groups. And to me, working in groups in school never turned out as well as I would have hoped, because I mean, there's always one person in any group that has to do the lion's share of the work. And in my case, I think a lot of the group work that I did in school, a lot of the workload came down on my shoulders. And I hated it. I ended up resenting it. I ended up resenting a lot of people. I hated working in groups. It wasn't my thing, because in my experience, it was always one person doing the lion's share of the work. And in the groups that I was in, it was pretty much always me. And I hated that. You know, another specific group thing in school was, I was in high school, and I think I was in the 10th grade. I've always been very open about my disability and the fact that I look like a shopping cart with a face, okay? I'm RoboCop's unattractive cousin. That is a thing. Don't worry, I'm only kidding, so you can relax with you, okay? Just don't worry about it. It's like, I've always been very open about it. I'm disabled, I have cerebral palsy, and it is what it is. I've had it my entire life, and I will have it for the rest of my life, so there's nothing I can do about it but just embrace it. One specific day, I was in religion class in the 10th grade, and I remember, religion class, so I was in Catholic school basically from grades 2 through 12, and we had to, it was another group thing. It was myself, this other guy, and this girl, groups of 3, and I think the assignment was that we had to give a presentation, throw a skit together, whether it was a speech or not, on accepting other people, because I mean, it's Catholic school, it's religion, and we gotta, you gotta basically accept everybody. So that was basically the theme. It's acceptance and accepting of others, and even, some discrimination in it. There was a bit, I think it was the coalition between discrimination and acceptance, or something like that. And I threw this out there. I just said, you know what? Since it happens every day anyway, outside of school and even in school and outside of the classroom, hey, here's an idea, because we're just going back and forth trying to come up with something. I mean, we had to present it basically that day in class in front of the rest of our classmates, obviously. And it was very quick. I just said, hey, guys, you know what? Since this happens every day anyway, why don't you just poke fun of me and the fact that I'm disabled, okay? Let's just do that, because, I mean, it's something I'm used to, and I hate to even say that. And even now, all these years later, I'm still used to getting poked at and made fun of because I'm disabled, and it's not something I asked for, but what can you do, right? Like, people are scared of what they don't understand, and I understand that. So getting made fun of is nothing new to me. Hey guys, why don't we just do a skit on that? Yeah, okay, that works. So basically what had happened was that I said, look, let me wing it. I got this. I do this every day. We go through the same old song and dance 365 days a year. I got this, no problem. I'm not gonna need a script. It's okay. And I had instructed, I think, one person in the group had to be the person that was going to be made fun of, and that was, I had elected myself as the person that was going to be made fun of, because it happened in reality every day anyway, and it still happens, although I'm a bit older and, well, whatever. I don't really care what people think of me anyhow. But I had elected myself as the person that was going to be made fun of, and then one person was going to be basically the aggressor, and who was making fun of me, and the other one was supposed to be like a shoulder to lean on, or my friend, so to speak, air quotations. And that's basically what it boiled down to. So we had gone over this. I said, look, I said to the guy, you've got to make fun of me. And at that point, we're in class, it's an assignment. And even then, even if this was out in the hallway, I don't care what you say to me. Because I've basically, up to that point, I'd heard worse thing. I'd heard, about everything you could say about somebody that uses a walker, has cerebral palsy, is disabled, and just give it to me. You know what I mean? Let the dam break and let it all come to me, right? So we get up there, and I think the girl basically had a script, because it was just like, okay, all you have to do is, quote unquote, comfort me after I've been made fun of. So she had a script for herself, and I just told the guy, I said, look, you just make fun of me, bro. That's all you have to do before we got up there, right? So here I am, standing in the middle of the room, waiting for the guy to make fun of me. And the girl is too, because like that's basically her cue, is when the guy makes fun of me, I start to cry. I start to tear up. And we get up there, and this guy just was like, go. Like, I was like, we just went over this. You gotta make fun of me. And I can't let on to my teacher or my classmates that anything is wrong, because a good performer never does that. So I am clenching my fist, gritting my teeth, and under my breath, I'm saying, what are you doing? You have to make fun of me. You know? So I'm trying to get him to just wallop me verbally. Just give me something. You know what I mean? Like, make me hurt for the period of time that we're up here, and not like make me hurt because this is turning out really badly. Will you just make fun of me? That's all I asked him to do, you know. And I had to clench my fist and bite my tongue, but he said something, and I basically, okay, we have to go with it. And like in my head, I'm thinking he said something that basically constitutes him making fun of me, so we have to go with it. And that's when I pretended to cry, basically. And then the girl came in and tried to comfort me. It was like, well, something, yada, yada. People will accept you, people won't. Something along those lines. That was one of those, not one of the greatest performances that I've given, not one of the greatest skits, if you want to call it one of those. Not one of my greatest times in front of a crowd or in front of an audience. And I just was like, oh, I was mortified afterwards. You know, once we got off stage, I shook my head. I'm like, I hope that we got a good mark for that, or at least a decent mark, because, I mean, if stuff could hit the fan, then that would be it. Stuff hit the fan. One particular, and I think this will be the last story that I give you guys in this one, going back to giving speeches and things like that. I know that in elementary school, when I was coming up, you had to give speeches as part of, I guess, your language and English mark. So I think it was the 8th grade, and our teacher had assigned us, well, like, I don't know how many schools do this, but every year at my school anyway, there was like this whole big thing, hoopla sort of deal around like a speech contest, and I guess whoever won would go on to do something nationally with it. Needless to say, I can write now, I can speak now. I've always had, like, the stage presence thing has always come very naturally. But when it came to giving speeches, in terms of whether it was an assignment or part of a contest that any of my schools was throwing, I really wasn't all that interested, because, I mean, like, they'd give you deadlines, they would treat it like an assignment, and I wasn't invested. You know, for me to give you everything I have on stage, behind a microphone, in front of a camera, I have to be invested. I have to be wanting to do what it is that I'm doing. And when it came to writing any of the speeches I did in elementary school, I never had to write a speech in high school, surprisingly. I never really had to give any sort of book reports or anything in high school. But it was all just written assignments then. But in elementary school, it was a big thing that we'd give speeches in front of, like, your classmates or even part of the school. And I wasn't invested. You know, what can I say? The teacher would give you the topic. You would have to write it. I mean, they'd give you guidance, but you had basically free reign to write whatever you wanted. And I wasn't invested in giving speeches and things like that at that time. So 8th grade comes along, and when it came to memorizing my speech in school. When it comes to memorizing script, I don't really work off scripts. I'm just, all right, the light's on, here we go. I'm completely coming off the top. Even with these things that I record now that I will post and put up and release for you guys, I'm just coming off the top of my head. This is straight from memory, off the top, completely improvised, and just, there's no form, reason, structure for any of this. So when giving a speech, at least in elementary school for me, they gave you the topic, they gave you guidelines, which is always good. I wish that we'd gotten to choose our own topics, but, or at least been able to give a speech on something we were passionate about. But I think the general topic was sort of like whether illness or addiction, something like that. And at the time, this is like 8th grade, so I'm like 13, 14 years old. I think my topic was drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and smoking. So it was something I came up with off the top of my head. Like there was no rhyme or reason to it, but she wanted cue cards. My teacher at the time wanted cue cards, just, with little notes jotted down and whatever, what have you. But I've never been big on cue cards. I've always been a guy that just comes off the top of my head and or just reads. I know it doesn't look great, but I sometimes would just read off of a piece of paper and go from there. But this one particular speech that I gave, I didn't have cue cards. I actually cut my speech so they would look like cue cards. It was just simple. Like, I wrote out a simple speech. I think she wanted about at least 3 or 4 cue cards, maybe 5. And I had the speech basically cut up. It was the whole speech cut up into like strips of paper, about 7 or 8 pieces. And I was just reading off that, trying to keep eye contact with my classmates and the staff that were there. But it felt forced, and I wasn't invested, So having to give speeches back then on topics that really didn't interest me and that I wasn't happy or passionate about, like something I wasn't invested in, it didn't really go well, or even like getting up in front of my classmates when it came to giving that performance in religion class, because we did that thing at the Catholic high school that I went to, and it was something, I tell you. Like, I can't knock anybody for doing what they did, but what this all boils down to is I do not like being forced to do anything. So, the people, friends riding me constantly every time I go to dinner or, just to hang out with them at a restaurant, when all I wanted to do was have a meal and a drink. It was just like, you got to perform for us. Give us like a verse, or give us part of your stand-up, or give us anything that entertains them for the night. Meanwhile, like, we're in a restaurant, like a sports bar, and they've got like hockey games on or football games on, and it's like, look at the TV or talk to somebody else that's here, man. Don't look at me to entertain you for the night. I'm just here to have a meal, have a drink, relax, kick my feet up, let my worries go, and hear about you guys. I don't want to have to worry about coming up with something off the top of my head, making sure that you guys are all entertained, because I'm not on the clock. It's not my job. I just want to relax and entertain, because like everybody else, I'm entitled to relax and just chill out every once in a while. And as much as I love to perform, those are some of my least favorite times when it comes to performing anything, whether it's comedy, music, giving speeches or lectures, things like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, there will be more videos and clips like this, more of me just coming straight off the top of my head and giving you stories from not only performing, radio, television, stage, but things from my everyday life and whatever I might find interesting that I feel I should give an opinion on. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. I've been Leigh Dickey. This has been another video on Leigh Dickey Beats and Speaks. All right, thanks again for listening, but that's it from me, and I'm out of here. We'll talk to you all later. Peace.